Hello everybody and welcome back to the Kansas City Royals franchise here on MLB The Show 23. I am DFG and it's the end of our season and we will get into our first off season here today. But first we will look at the end of season stats for our first season in the franchise. We finished 54 and 108 in the season, and that was one of the worst records in baseball. We were pretty bad year one, and we were the worst in the American League. I'm pretty sure there was worse in the National League. Yes, the Nationals were worse. The only team that were worse are the Nationals. In terms of our player stats here, we're going to go through them here today. We'll start off with our home run leader, Franmil Reyes, who had 25 on the year. Franmil Reyes had a pretty good season, I think, for the most part. But I just think that with his overall and potential dropping at 27, I just think it's time for us to move on. I think he had a pretty decent season, 254 with 25 home runs. It's not a terrible season by any stretch of the imagination. But I think we might be able to find someone in free agency who could give us more than that. I think he did well, but I think there are better options out there. Salvador Perez was also one of our home run leaders. He had 24. He's pretty much the same guy as last season. His home runs were around the same. His average was around the same. His on base was around the same. So he was pretty much the same as last year. He's not as good as his 2021 campaign, but he will be with us for another few seasons as well. Jason Vosler was a trade I made in season right near the deadline, and he had a really good year. 275 average, 20 home runs, was third in our team for it. Now, his contract is also up. He's another one that we have to take a look at here. He was a 1.64 player. I think Jason Vosler might be someone we keep around. Vinny Pasquantino was probably our best player so far this season. He was our leader in batting average. He hit over 300 for the season. And you can see just the type of progression he's had over this year. We also signed him for another 5 years. We tied him down until his age 30 season on a $10 million 5-year deal. So he is taking a severe pay cut on that. He did bat over 300, as I said, 317. In RBIs, Salvador Perez led the team. He's staying around. Jason Vosler was there, and Franmil Reyes rounds out the top three once again. Someone we do need to talk about is Bobby Witt Jr., who, despite still progressing and doing well, he's not done fantastically this season. His WAR was in the negative. His batting splits were really poor, as we see here. He was better against righties, hitting 241, but against lefties, he was only hitting 182. So he didn't have the greatest of seasons. And our batting average, of course, Vinny Pasquantino, as I had mentioned already, 317. Jason Vosler did well, 275. You can see our September call-up, Gavin Cross hit 256. Very, very pleased with the way that he played when he came up for September call-ups. He had +7 in contact versus righties. He did play mostly against righties as he was in our starting right-handed lineup. He had a very good September after he got called up. In terms of our pitchers, we really didn't have many standout performers in terms of our rotation. The big guy that we're looking for the future is Brady Singer, and he just did not do what we wanted him to do. His ERA was nearly 6. He is still progressing, still getting a lot of ratings going up, but he did not have a good season. A 5.89 ERA. His walks did go down, so did his home run per 9, but his pitching clutch, his control, and his strikeout per 9 all went up. So we'll have to see where he goes, but I'm not really into keeping him for long term after a pretty poor season. Someone we do want to keep around, as I've mentioned already, is Scott Barlow, our closer, who had a really, really good year this season. He did really well, just not leaving up hits. Had a 2.42 ERA, and he is up for in arbitration this year, so we will want to keep him around. He only blew 5 saves, and he's only blown 9 saves over the last 2 years. Another player that we got to sign down through a long-term contract is Dylan Coleman, a relief pitcher who had a very good year. 2.47 ERA, a 1.2 WAR, nearly a strikeout per inning guy, and he's signed down for the next 4 years at a $10 million contract. Another player that's going to have another contract up, who also had a good year, was Aroldis Chapman. More of a setup guy at this point in his career, but he had a good career, and I would like season, and I'd like to keep him around. Another player I'd like to keep around, but is probably going to retire, is Zack Greinke. I think he could be really good out of the bullpen as a long reliever. You can see the regression has hit him hard, though, so we'll have to wait and see. But he had a good season. You know, he was the same guy this year as he was last year in terms of ERA. The hits have gone up, the runs have gone up, but he pitched a lot more innings this year, so I'm happy with where he's at. Ryan Yarbrough was a guy that has done really well for us since I brought him up. He did not start the year at the Major League level, and I think he's someone we want to keep around. Jordan Lyles is another guy who really picked it up at the end of the season. He had a good year. His ERA was north of 4, but I think he picked up a good few strikeouts. He had a highest WAR on the team for pitchers, I think, and he had the most quality starts as well. So I think Jordan Lyles is going to be a part of our bullpen for our rotation for a long time. But we didn't have any pitchers that were a negative WAR this season, so it's not too bad. Aroldis Chapman left us in 5th. And as you can see, the season is finished, and we finished 54 and 108, as we said, one of the worst records in baseball. Going to the statistics, Jose Altuve led the American League in batting average, and Juan Soto led the entire league as well as the National League. Doubles was Shohei Ohtani. He had 49 for the American League. And he also led the entire league as Xander Bogaerts led the National League with 42. Our own Bobby Witt Jr. led the American League with 13 triples, which is very good, but we are, a little bit worried about him. Trey Turner did get more than him, though, and he led the National League with 15. In terms of home runs, Austin Riley got 48 in the National League, but he did not come close to the winner of the American League and the entire league in general, Mike Trout, with 59. Mike Trout also led the American League in RBIs, 132. Juan Soto had 118 in the National League. Clay Holmes led the American League in saves, though it was a very tight race near the top with 5 guys in the 50s. In the National League, Devin Williams and Joe Mantiply were the only 2 guys who were in the 40s or in the 50s. Jacob deGrom led the American League in ERA. Justin Verlander led the entire league in ERA with only a 1.87. And the LA Dodgers won the World Series, beating the Houston Astros 4-2. Seattle got to the conference finals as well. Unfortunately for us, Zack Greinke will indeed retire. He is going to retire due to him being nearly 40 years old. So we do have a few choices here to make. Aroldis Chapman is someone that we have to take a look at. I do want to keep him around. I'm going to offer him a contract, and 2 years is not too bad. I do like Aroldis Chapman. I do like what he's done for us in the setup role. But I was thinking more of a 1-year deal, and we are going to give him that. And he is, of course, 35 or 36 years old. So that is what we're going to do with him. Another player I want to keep around is Amir Garrett. He had a very good season as well. Good few strikeouts. His ERA is doing pretty well as well. But I do want to look at him for 1 more year, and we will offer him that contract. But Jackie Bradley, although he has done well in the MLB, we don't need him. And Matt Duffy came up in the September call-ups, but didn't do well enough for us to give him an offer here. In terms of our staff, I do want to get rid of some guys. We're going to get rid of our manager. We're going to get rid of our hitting coach. The first baseman is okay. I'll get rid of the third baseman, and I'll get rid of our farm director. So they are the 4 positions that we need to fill. Eric Ojeda is the first guy I like here. +2 clutch, power, and some fielding as well. Next up is Todd Bass for the pitching coaches. He does get rid of some strikeout per 9, but I'm okay with that. Jaime LeBlanc for third base. Speed, arm accuracy, and strength. He's going to do well for that. And Sean Calderon for our farm director. He's got some all-around increases there. So Calderon will sign as our farm director. base is coming in as a pitching coach. There's LeBlanc as the third base coach as well. So we've got 3 of our 4 guys in, but we do need to put some guys on the 40-man roster because they may be eligible for the Rule 5 draft, and Asa Lacey is going to be the first guy. Next is Jake Brents. I'm going to put him on as well. I like Austin Cox. He's another guy I'm going to put onto the 40-man. These are the guys who are ready for arbitration. So we're going to start off with Scott Barlow and send him an arbitration offer of $5.5 million. But I would like to keep Scott Barlow around. I do think he had a very, very good season. I would like to give maybe a club option here at the end of this deal, just to give us some leeway if we want to get rid of him. Next up is Brady Singer, and I don't really want to give him a long-term deal, so we'll give him $5 million over 2 years. Josh Stallman did not play well enough to get a contract, and Edward Olivares is another outfielder that I think we can find better. He's had good years with the Kansas City Royals, but like this year, he just was very, very poor, and I don't want to even offer him arbitration. I just don't think he's good enough. Nicky Lopez struggled against lefties this year, but I do think that he would be someone good to bring along. 2 years, $9 million might keep him around with an option for us. Franmil Reyes is going to be let go, so is Nick Whitgren, someone who didn't come up to the majors this year. But someone I do want to keep around is Chris Bubich. Very high in the ERA this year, but he did pretty well, I thought. 1.2 WAR. I think he's a bottom of a rotation guy and a 1-year rental at $3 million for the year. I'd be pretty happy with that. We can also put him in a long reliever role if we need to. Josh Taylor didn't pitch many innings at the major league level, but in the few things that he did not do well. Yohan Camargo was another guy who was down at AAA this year, as well as Daniel Mendon, who was also down at AAA. Ryan Goins was also down at AAA, and Taylor Clark did get some pitches here at the major league level, though he's never really been a guy who's been able to keep his ERA under 4. Ryan Yarbrough we talked about earlier, and I think even though he's a 63 overall, he did really well this season, under 4 ERA. Really good, not many strikeouts, but he gets out of innings, and I think we need players like that. Mike Mayers is another reliever who I just don't want to keep around. And now we go to the contract renewable guys, who we have a lot more team control with. This is the deal I'm going to offer Bobby Witt, 2.8 over 2. MJ Melendez is also going to get a 1.5 over 2 years deal. Caden Wallace was a guy I wanted to look at during the season, but he spent some time injured when I was looking at guys. But he had a really good year, really good progression, and could be our third baseman at the major league level next year. But for now, we will just give him a $70,000 offer. Michael Garcia was at the major league level, and I thought he did reasonably okay, though. He is still young, and he's still got time to develop. I wouldn't mind putting him down in AAA either. So we will give him an offer, I think, here. He had 2.22 average and an on-base percentage of .250, which isn't fantastic. But as I said, I do think I want to keep him around. 1 more year at $750,000 is more than good enough. And we will see what he does on this roster in spring training. Nate Eaton is a utility guy who did pretty okay in terms of like defensive. But offensively, he was really poor, and I think if I want a utility guy, I want him to at least contribute to the offense a little bit. Kyle Isbell was down in AAA for the majority of the year, and actually got a good bit of development down there, getting some power, getting some contact up. But I just feel like at 27 years old, you want more from your outfielders, and we're going to look elsewhere. Jason Vosler is really someone who, despite not going up in overall, his potential has gone up. He had a really, really good year, and honestly, I think that he could be a guy that we keep around for at least 1 year, if not for another one. He could just be a third base rental or something. Right now, I'm going to offer him just a 1-year deal, but he might be able to get a long-term contract on this team next year if he does as well. Nick Prado was a first baseman, left field, right field guy who never really played that often. He did improve his stats from last year, but I think he's not going to be a guy I want to keep around for a long time. But I will give him a chance to get better on this team with the club option in his second year. Asa Lacey is now 24 years of age, and he's going to want to be looking at the Major League roster now, as we offer him at $740k for 1 year. Gavin Cross is another player I want to keep around. Oops, misclicked there. He did pretty well when we caught him up, and we're going to offer him a 2-year deal there as well. Let's see how he gets on at the Major League level. Daniel Lynch never really did well for us. I think he had a complete game last year, but I think he's going to go after a poor ERA season. Michael Massey is a young second baseman, though he is 26 and he still has time to improve, though. And we will give him a 1-year, 740k offer here, or 750k, just to keep him in the club. One of my favorite players on the team, Drew Waters, well able to hit home runs and hit for average. He's going to get a contract. Samad Taylor was down in AAA, though he's probably closer to the Major League roster, and he will also get a contract. We looked at Ben Kuterna already this year, and he is also going to be offered a contract to stay around. I kept Jake Brent on the 40-man, but he's probably going to end up getting gotten rid of. Jonathan Bolin came up to the Major League level for a while, and he still continues to develop, so I want to keep him around. TJ Sakima also came up. He did reasonably well as well. I'll keep him around as well, though he'd probably be at the minor league level. Let's try and get as low as we possibly can for TJ Sakima here, because he more than likely won't play at the Major League level. 50k he'll take, so let's offer him that. Gerard Gonzalez was a second baseman down at AAA. We're going to keep him around. Frank Mazzucato is also going to get a contract. Austin Cox is a guy that I think is probably close to the Major League level. I'm going to give him a year as well and see where he's at in his development, see where he's at in terms of in spring training. Jonathan Heasley was on the minor league roster, never got to the majors. Austin Charles will also get a contract. Angel Zerpa is another youngster, starting pitcher down in the minor leagues. I want to keep him around. Drew Parrish is another. Diego Hernandez is a center fielder that I would like to keep around as well down in the minor leagues. Clay Dungan has been getting good development, even though he's 27. I would like to keep him around. Beck Way gets a contract offer. Nick Lofton is going to be someone I keep around. Tyler Gentry also gets a contract offer. Dylan Strom also will get one. Juan Carlos Negre will get a contract. So will Logan Porter. And Freddie Fermin will also get a contract as well. Kind of flying through these, but I just want to get it through fast. These are just mostly minor league players anyway. Carter Jensen will get a contract offer. Cale Emshoff will get a contract. Cody Poteet will also get an offer. Shervin Newton will get a contract offer. Peyton Wilson will too. Alec Marsh will also get one. Evan Sisk will get one. And that should do it. So we can now get into our free agency. And straight away, I want to look at starting pitchers. And the one person I've picked out here straight away is Noah Syndergaard. He was with the LA Dodgers last year and had a really good year, 2.94 ERA. I want to offer a contract to Noah Syndergaard here. Definitely one of the top of the rotation guys for us. I don't think he'd be an ace, although I could offer him that if I needed to. Let's give him a 16 mil over 2-year offer. Frankie Montes is another guy. I do need starting pitchers. This was my main focus coming into this league. I actually was looking through the roster to see what I need, and right now I have 4 third basemen at the major league level. Hunter Dozier seems to be the man who's the odd man out. He's been regressing. He hit a 241 average, and his WAR is really high because of his defensive abilities. But I do think I would want to trade him. Okay, I'm going to trade him here, see what kind of offers I get. I think the best one I could go for is the Brewers. They do have Luis Urias, but he's not under contract right now. So if I could just get prospects off the Brewers, I might give him to them. Ryan Papas, Adam Seminares, and Roderick Stafford. Not really interested in any of these 3 trades. Wouldn't mind Michael Ortiz. I'll have to take a look and see who I like of who they're sending me. Adam Seminares is not a bad player, but he's 25 and that's a little bit too old for me. There are two relief pitchers I like. Michael Ortiz is one that they were offering me. He's 18 years old, 63 overall. See potential, and he's got really good hit per 9, but I think other than that, I think he's not that fantastic. The other pitcher I like is Brian Park. He's 21 years old, a little bit older, and I think he's just a little bit all-rounded. He doesn't have anything that stands out like Ortiz does, but I think he's got a little bit more to him. He does have stamina as well, which is going to help him. I think if there's anybody I would like, I think Brian Park would probably be the guy that I would want to keep around. I'm pretty sure he was drafted last year as well by the Brewers, so that wouldn't be a terrible trade for us. They seem to be interested in making it. I think that's a good deal for both teams, and they will take it. Now back to free agents, and I think getting relief pitching is a big part of what we need to do this year, as our relief pitching is one of our worst places. Daniel Hudson may be an option. Bobby Ostrander is here at 18 years old, 68 overall, so not quite sure what I do with him. I mean, he's 18, so he was probably drafted last year. I was also looking at maybe getting a second catcher, because I think MJ Melendez is going to play more in the outfield, and Mitch Garver is available. He could be a very good backup catcher to Salvador Perez. Yasmani Grandal is also there, and he could be really good to come in on off days, especially against left-handed pitching. He could be really good, and he's got some good power. Mike Zunino is basically just Yasmani Grandal, but better. I think I'll offer a contract as Zunino. I don't really want to give guys massive money. Like $3 million a year maybe would probably be the best, but he's not going to be interested in that. I'm going to try and lowball and see what I can do. I'm looking for outfield help, and despite AJ Pollock going down, I think he's a really good option. He had 28 home runs last year, and even though he's more of a lefty masher, he can still hit righties reasonably well. Enrique Hernandez kind of gives you the same skill set, just better against righties. He's slightly worse as a hitter, but he gives you way better defense. I wouldn't say he had the greatest of years last year. Ian Happ is another guy who I want to look at, though he's not going to give you the home run upside, though he will give you very good contact, but the Cubs are in on him. I'll give AJ Pollock an offer. Even if it's only a 1-year rental, I'm more than happy to play him. Pay him like $5 million for 1 year. I think that's a good investment. Randall Grichuk could be another guy that could help us out in the outfield. And he had a 310 last year. Problem is, he's also a lefty masher, and I also wouldn't mind giving him a 1 year $5 million deal. Let's see if we can get these guys on pretty low offers. I'm also looking at Michael Lorenzen to bring him in. I want a guy who can take some innings out of the bullpen. Lorenzen could be a guy. James Paxton was another guy I was looking at. Jordan Hicks is another, who is a relief pitcher, but has the stamina to do it. He had not the greatest year last year, but I think we could get him for a very good, a pretty decent offer here of like 3.5 over 1 year. He'll be in the bullpen. He'll get long relief innings. So let's see what happens there. You got to be kidding me. Shohei's going to be in division now. Mr. Hurricane's going to be delighted that Shohei Ohtani signed with the Twins in this franchise. Here are some of the transactions. So we re-signed a lot of players, but Jordan Hicks is the big one. He has signed with us. He's going to be here on a 1 year, $3.5 million deal for basically just to help us out in the bullpen. But we did re-sign a lot of players, as you can see here. There's also the trade as well. So they're all the players that we re-signed. If you want to take a quick look, you can pause the video and take a look at all of them. Here's more. Samad Taylor re-signed. And more signings. Noah Syndergaard signed. Finally, a starting pitcher. He could be one of our best pitchers in our rotation next year. So that's a really good player to come in here. More re-signings. Nicky Lopez and Brady Singer are back. Very important to bring Singer back to see how his development goes. Need to release some players. I'm just gonna cut most of those released players out, but Washington did claim Alec Marsh off off waivers. You can see the releases. They're all minor league players that are pretty low in overall. Back into free agency. I'm not quite sure if there's any more players that we could go for. I'm kind of looking more towards pitching right now. We'll see what comes up. James Caprillion could be a good option. He's not been fantastic for the A's, but he might be a very cheap option and a bottom of the rotation guy. He's had good WAR years before. Yeah, I'll give him an offer. I wouldn't mind him being like our 4th or 5th starter in our rotation. 1 year for $1.2 million. I think you're pretty happy. Colin Snyder was claimed off our waivers by Miami. He's 28 years old. Both of the guys who have been claimed are like 50 overall. Here are some of the releases for not offering them salary arbitration. Luis Severino got signed by the Braves. Aroldis Chapman will come back for another year. And James Caprillion will also come for a one year, $1.2 million deal. So we've actually got built up a nice little rotation for us right now. Pretty happy with where we're at. Oh, I actually forgot about that. Eric Ojeda signed as our manager. I completely forgot that we hadn't signed a manager yet. And Josh Hader is going to go to the Diamondbacks as well on a 5-year, $95 million deal. Here is more releases here for not tendering contracts. I want to go back to Bobby Ostrander and give him a 1 year, $60K offer. I think he's someone we could use. If not this year, maybe down the line. I think for the rest of this, it's mostly just going to be me signing guys for our minor league team. So I'm going to try and skip through most of them unless I find someone I want to take a look at for the major league roster. Ronald Odor could be someone we bring as a second baseman. He didn't play much last year, but he could give us some pop off the bench. I'll give him a 1 year deal. Some signings for our minor league roster here as we try to fill out those rosters. Teoscar Hernandez is going to be in division as well. He signed with the Guardians. Another player that we're going to have to worry about. More minor league signings here for us. Mike Zunino is not interested in our offer, so do we want to... I would say, do we want to re-offer it to him, but I'm pretty sure he signed for someone else. Yasmani Grandal is still there. He was pretty much the guy I wanted to get because Mike Zunino was just a better version of him. Yeah, let's give Yasmani Grandal a 1 year, $3 million deal. And here we go, draft lottery. We had the second worst record in baseball, so we are one of the odds-on favorites to get the first overall pick. Let's see where we get. We stayed exactly where we were supposed to. Number 2. I'll take a second overall pick, but the Tigers went from 3 to 1, and the Nationals went down from 1 to 3. We signed both Pollock and Grandal, so we pretty much got all of our free agents. And the Rule 5 draft is here. And to be honest, I don't think there's going to be many players in this that I'm going to be looking for. My favorite is Luis Gonzalez, but I think we have good outfielding now with the free agency pickups. Yeah, looking through this, Luis Gonzalez is my favorite, and I don't need to pick him up. I think I'm just going to skip my selection and not pick anybody in the Rule 5 draft. I do like the Rule 5 draft. I do usually pick up players in the Rule 5 draft, but I just don't think there's any reason for us to pick up any players this year. Maybe we pick up some players next year. We'll have to wait and see. More signings for our minor league roster here. Minor league rosters here as we fill them out even more. And even more signings for our minor league rosters. Yep, more great pitching for the Astros. But we are now pretty much finished the off-season. We now get to sim to spring training. I think I'm just going to do that. There's nothing more for us to do here. I will take a look at the roster though. Oh, I think I just made a massive oopsie. I did. Bobby Ostrander just got drafted, and I put him on the 40-man. I did that with Derek McGee too. They're two guys that were drafted last year in the draft class, and now I'm going to have to use minor league options on them. That's a bad mistake to make. Oh well, I think they're closer to the major leagues than some of the other relievers that we drafted, so that's okay. But I would have liked to not do that. That generally doesn't happen in Major League Baseball. One more day to simulate here, and spring training is about to begin, and we will begin our spring training against the Texas Rangers. However, that will be in the next video. I do want to just say that I will try and cut this down to as short as possible. I will probably cut a lot out because there's a lot of just me going through signing minor leaguers and stuff like that. But I will do my best to try and keep it coherent and all that stuff. But thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and we will get into our spring training video in next time out. I hope you had a great day, and peace out, guys.